already screened. Hey guys, it's Big Sexy with Big Sexy Outdoors. If you guys are looking for your bucks to be big and sexy like me, I recommend you go out and get yourself some Big Sexy by Domain. This product is filled with radish, turnips, and kale, and other vegetation to keep the deer coming back all season long. Go out to your local Tractor Supply and purchase some today. Big Sexy by Domain. Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, I was waiting a second for it to pop up. There's my buddy Bronson. How are you doing today, Bronson?
Good.
Good. So everybody knows this is Bronson Smeltz. Yes, we have permission from his parents for him to be on. And he is a 14-year-old youth hunter who I personally have had the pleasure to hunt with. And absolutely just love being in the woods with him. He's such a respectful kid. Such a respectful kid to me, to nature. And I am personally super excited to have him on. And the fact that he wants to jump on and be part of BSO is extremely, extremely happy to me. So, Bronson, you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm 14 years old. I started hunting 2017. I killed about 10 deer and have a very fun time hunting, and all the youth hunters out there, I suggest you try and start hunting. It's very fun.
That's awesome. I think that's some good advice, buddy, because I tell you what, since I started hunting, my life has been a different aspect of life. There's that peace, that fun, the camaraderie. There's so many things that are involved in being in the woods. I mean, just you and I, how many times have we laughed out in the woods at something?
So many.
Yeah, a lot. Hey, it's we just laugh at the dumbest thing. I mean, you're so peaced and relaxed out there. So Bronson, you send us some pictures, and I'm excited to show your pictures for you. And I know from talking to you in the woods that every picture has its own story.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go into your story. So first, I know you killed your first buck. Tell me when you killed your first buck.
2017 or 2018.
2018. Now this is a picture of your first buck. We have it up on the screen for you.
Yeah. So maybe first week of rifle season. I don't do very good in the cold. Me and my dad were sitting up on the hill. I told my dad I'm cold, and luckily we had the truck running. So I went in, put the seat warmer on, and was just sitting there. And then I look out, and there's a deer walking across the hill. And I yelled at my dad, "There's a deer." So we get out, gets my gun, get my chair and my tripod, prop up, shot it one time, about 200 yards, and ran about maybe 50 and fell over.
Now, you said 200 yards. I want everybody to hear that. You're 14, and your answer was just 200 yards, correct? Now, as a youth hunter, because I know my answer to this, how much do you practice to be able to make that shot at 200 yards?
Maybe 100 yards.
So you practice about 100 yards and end up making that 200-yard shot. That's awesome. Now, how many times a week do you practice, or are you one of them guys that shoot more or less just before the season and sight in your gun?
Yeah, just right before the season.
That's awesome. To be able to, I know Haley shot her first one this year at a distance, and that was amazing. So that's awesome. I love that you can tell your story, especially 200 yards, dude. That's awesome. Geez. So I got to ask, I know as a dad, I'm excited. How excited was your dad for this? Tell us. You got to tell us your dad's reactions.
Oh my gosh. He was super excited. I could tell that he knew I hit it, and I thought I didn't hit it, but I had that confidence that I did, because if you hunt with no confidence, what is there to hunt? You have to have confidence. And yeah, we walked down. My dad was super excited, and we were searching for the blood, couldn't find any. Finally find some, and we start tracking it and tracking it. Well, here, I didn't know until I looked up and saw the deer, but my dad saw the deer before I even found the blood, and we were tracking it, and I didn't look up. I was just looking at the blood, and all of a sudden I look up and there it lays, and I looked at my dad and I'm like, I killed it. And I was super excited, and I think that one got on Pennsylvania Outdoor Life.
Oh, yeah? That's awesome. That's even better. So I got to ask, you said, I was like, Dad, I killed it. But were you really like, oh, Dad, I killed it? Or were you like, woo, Dad, I killed it?
Yeah, I was really excited.
Yeah, you were pretty pumped. Or yeah, I'll tell you what, man, there's nothing like it. Nothing in the world like it. I love it. You see, I don't know if you've seen this. There's a comment from Ralph Alderson who's watching. He said, I have yet to shoot that far at 52 years old. So you're only 14, and I've already shot farther than Ralph. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Confidence is key, man, at anything you do. It doesn't matter if it's playing sports, hunting, anything. Confidence is key, and I couldn't agree with you more. So you have some great advice already at age 14. And I think some of that comes from you have some pretty good mentors behind you.
Yeah.
I've met a bunch of your family, and they're great people. So I think that's always a bonus in life. So we have your first buck. Do you have anything else you want to tell us about your first buck before we move on to your first doe kill?
No.
No?
Nope.
All right, we're going to move on to your first doe kill because I got these pictures I'm excited to see and hear these stories. Okay, first doe kill. Now, this is your first archery doe kill, correct?
Yep.
All right, so did you kill your doe with a rifle first or the bow first? Which one?
Rifle.
Okay, we'll go back to that one. His dad, look, your dad, he's commenting, look. Listen, I still shake, buddy. When you lose that shake, you just stop hunting because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So this is your first rifle. This one here is your first rifle kill. So this is your very first. Now, did you kill your buck first or your doe first?
My buck.
Really? So you killed a buck before you killed a doe?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm a little jealous. All right, when I was a kid, I had to settle for a doe first. And my dad tried to shoot mine out from under me because he didn't want me to shoot it. He wanted to shoot
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So tell us about your first doe kill. Looks like you made a good shot from here. I can see that.
Yeah. So, actually, the year I shot this, I had a broken pinky.
I knew there was something wrong with your hand. I called it. I could see it in the picture.
So that I didn't want to stop hunting, but it was just felt weird. Well, actually, we were driving, I think, and my stepmom was in the tree stand out ahead of us. And she shot, and my dad was like, get ready, get ready. Here they come. There was maybe 3 of them, and I picked this one out, shot it. It shot it twice, and then it fell over, and then it shot it again because it wouldn't die. And then, yeah, there's.
So it looks like the deer had enough at the end. If you look at his tongue,
Yeah.
looks like he gave up even at the end, huh?
Yeah.
How far was this one?
Maybe 150.
Now, was this deer running or walking?
Walking.
So we're going to get to a running story. I know there's a running story from our little rabbit hunts together. So we're building up to the big story. All right, so let's go to your first bow kill. There we go. Now tell us who's in the picture with you.
All right, that's my 93-year-old great-grandfather.
Wow. Being in the woods at 93 years old, that earns a round of applause by itself. Wow. What an honor to be able to shoot your first deer with something like that. Go ahead, tell your story, buddy.
That was actually the first time I went hunting with him. So,
Wow.
yeah, I got out of school. It was a Friday. It was like maybe the last week of archery. And I was like, I want to go hunt with my grandpa. So, after school, he has all these little shacks and everything. And we went up to them. We didn't see anything early on. It was getting late. And we saw one deer, but it was too far. And then all of a sudden I look up and there's these 3 deer coming out of the woods. And they were getting real close. And they were maybe like yards. And I had my Parker crossbow. And in another picture, I used that same bow. Got a deer, but it was too late. The coyotes already got it.
Oh, okay. So there's another picture that goes with this.
Yeah.
Is that the one you're holding close up we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
All right. I knew there was a story. Chris, you know which one that is? Yep.
That one.
So did you shoot this the same night as that one and you just didn't find it?
No.
This was your very first kill you just didn't find?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were actually tracking it for a while, and I love this spot to hunt because I'd always get deer real close, and my dad even said, "You love that spot because the deer always come right to you." And I'm like, "Yep." So we went there the one night, and we were sitting there, and I was on the one side of the tree looking towards the field, and my dad was looking through the bush, and he said, "Here comes one." And it was real little, and I was super excited. I was shaking. Turn around in the corner of the tree. I see it. I shot it. When I shot, it jumped, and my arrow just clipped the bottom of the stomach. So we barely had blood. And my dad actually sat down. I went to get his one friend to help track, and he was sitting down. And if he would have walked maybe 10 yards straight up, he would have found the deer because we marked that spot because it was like midnight and we didn't want to track it too far because we didn't want it to spook and get up and keep running. So we let it go. We came back the next morning and we went to that spot where we stopped and walked up, and there it was, but the coyotes had the back end ripped apart.
Oh, that's a bummer when that happens.
I
So
was
do you hear a lot of coyotes in the woods?
Yeah.
Do you hear?
We just see a lot of deer that get killed or eaten up by coyotes.
So you do have an issue you have a big issue where you're at, where when the deer get killed, the coyotes eat them.
If we leave them to.
That's a bummer, is what that is. It's a good picture of you, though. Honestly, I like that picture. Uh-oh, did he break up? We good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, okay. I thought you froze a minute for me. I didn't know if you froze or just. Sorry about that, bud. Now this here, tell us who this big scruffy gentleman is right here beside you.
That's my dad.
That's your dad. Now I can tell these are turkeys, unless they're vultures. So tell us about your turkey experience here with your dad. Now this had to be cool all by itself because you're with your dad.
So I think we were looking for turkeys and then we gave up because we had something going on. Well, my dad's one friend drove up the road and he found these bunch of turkeys. There were like maybe 50 of them. And he called my dad and he was like, "Does Bronson want to come? There's turkeys in the field." And so me, my dad, and my stepmom all grabbed our guns. We put them in the truck. I had my Crocs on because I was undressed, so I threw all my clothes on and got in the truck and we drove up. We got out, set up, and I shot first, and then I think my stepmom and then my dad. And then my stepmom didn't think I got it, but my dad thought I did, and I thought I did. So we go out, and I'm talking to my dad, and he was asking me which one did I shoot at and where. And we get out, and there's 2 dead. And then he asked me, which one did you shoot at? Did you shoot at this one? I said, yeah. And that was my...
So you didn't see it go down?
Mm-mm. Well, I didn't see it fly, so I thought I killed it, but I wasn't sure.
So now I see your guns here. So I have some questions. I love that you didn't use a shotgun. So, and that's how I really know it's fall, because I mean, without beards, I know that, but I see you have rifles here. So I know it's fall turkey. So what rifles are we using here? Are these 22s, 22 mags? What is this?
I'm using a 243 Winchester, and my stepmom is using a 243, and my dad is using a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Wow. Well, my 6.5 Creedmoor, when it hits, puts a beating on, so I couldn't imagine what would happen to that turkey. So since you're a sharpshooter, that's what I'm going to start calling you, the sharpshooter, at your long distances, how far were these turkeys?
Oh, these were far turkeys. They were maybe 200. They were farther than my buck, I know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, you're shooting distances I don't shoot. I think my farthest kill is probably about 200 yards. I don't shoot hardly ever after that.
I love shooting long range.
Do you? Now, so here's Barn 622. Okay, he's seen you. So I gotta ask this: your long range shooting, do you use a set of sticks? Do you lean against something? How do you shoot long range?
I use a tripod, but
Which makes sense for long distance.
I really want to kind of break out of that. I want to prop up against a tree, but at that moment I didn't have any trees to prop up on, so I just used my tripod, and I still use it today, but it really helps me steady myself, but I want to start leaning up against trees. And
well, I don't have no shame in using tripods. So I don't want to get off subject, but I had the opportunity to take you out predator hunting one night. Me and my buddy Brian took you out, and we let you use the thermal vision. And where I'm going with this is, what did we use?
a tripod.
We use a tripod. We use a bog pod stand that locks our gun in place. Right? Now, before we get on to your next pictures, I got to ask this because we're on the subject, of course. What did you think of the thermal?
I love it. Actually, you know what? My stepdad actually got a thermal scope.
Did he?
Yeah, we're going to go predator hunting.
That's awesome. Oh my God, I love it. I absolutely love predator hunting. What if they got together again? I absolutely love predator hunting. So you got a thermal scope. So you didn't got a night vision scope. Ooh, man, I tell you, I love both. I am intrigued by it. You thought that was cool, didn't you?
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun that night, man. You were scanning that field, and I was like, oh, I said to Brian, I said, he's hooked. Look at him, he's hooked. That was a good night. We had a good time. I was bummed we didn't see anything, but the fact that we could see that skunk through the thermal, do you remember that?
Yeah, that was. You guys were telling me, do you want to shoot it? And I'm like, well, I don't know.
They were in then. You could have.
Yeah.
It was, dude, it was, I don't know though, man. That smells something I can't get past. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. So we have on your photo, sorry I got off subject, but you said about tripod, and I had to refresh your memory that even as an adult, us guys use tripod to shoot long distances, because that's what I do the same thing to this day. There you go, Bronson.
I was looking at them.
Were you?
I'm getting hooked with this thermal stuff.
It is pretty neat, isn't it? I love my night vision scope because I think it's a little clearer than the thermal, but I love my monarch because The thermal monarch just picks up anything. Well, you remember that mouse? Remember we
Yeah.
were looking at that mouse at over 100 yards? It is awesome. It is pretty easy to get hooked. It's just expensive, that's all.
Yeah.
So then we're talking about it, and we got your pictures, and we talked about your first big fish. Now, I know we have a picture of that. There it is. So, you don't have to tell us where you're fishing, but tell us a little bit about your fish and what you're using.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember, but all I remember is me and my dad went fishing and we forgot something. And we met these two wonderful people, and my dad knew them, and there was another young kid, and he gave me something to use, and I forget what it was. I should have remembered, but sorry.
Was it a spinner? Was it a spinner? Was it a jig? Was it
might have been a spinner.
Like live bait?
It might have been a spinner.
Spinner. So you caught that big one on a spinner. So how I can see it's a rainbow. How big is it?
I'm not sure. I don't think we measured it, but I know one thing is it got on Pennsylvania Outdoor Life.
Dude, you're on Pennsylvania Outdoor Life a lot. How do you get all these pictures in there? You got to tell me the secret.
My dad just puts them in and just luck, I guess.
Sounds like you got a pretty good dad by the stories you're telling. Sounds like he makes sure you get your time in the outdoors to love it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yellow power bait. There it is. There's the secret. All right, your dad's on. How big is this fish, Matt?
I'd say about 12 inches.
That looks a lot bigger than 12 inches. That looks probably more about 20 inches. We'll see if your dad pops on with how big it was.
All right. I don't think we finished the story about my first archery go.
I don't think we did either. We jumped over to hear about your coyote kill. But look at Barnes's comment for you quick before we jump back to your picture.
Okay, I won't.
So, yeah, let's go back to your archery kill. We'll go back to your 93-year-old grandfather because I love that you got to share that moment with him. Now, tell us more about that. I apologize. We talked about your coyote kill. I wanted to jump back to that deer.
So this deer is actually smaller than it looks. My uncle, I think it's my uncle. He stood back and got the deer to look a lot bigger, but this deer was just born that year, and I shot it, and I saw it running, and it put a beautiful shot on it. It ran maybe 5 yards and fell over. So I told my grandfather that they're still there and they're going to come back because I shot one of the babies. And there was a mom and 2 babies. And I knew they were going to come back. And so we were trying to reload my bow. And of course, it's a crossbow. So they're really hard to, pull back. And I can't pull it back. And he was struggling. So he just handed over his and he said, "Take this one and shoot." So he gave him mine, or no, he gave his to me so I could shoot, and the other baby came back and he was about 10 yards, and I think I shot over it. So I didn't get that one, but I got this one.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. And listen, I tell my kids as a first-year hunter, as a youth hunter, there's opportunities you get that you take. And don't worry about if it was a first-year or second-year deer, because part of the goal of getting better is not being picky, Honestly, the picture makes it look big, dude. I just thank your uncle if it ain't big. I'd be like, thanks, Unc. Even as an adult, if I shot a smaller one, I'd get him to finagle the picture for me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Very strong, but I could drag this deer out with one hand.
Really? Was it that small? Hey, man, it is what it is. Let me ask you this. Did you eat it?
Yeah.
Did it taste any different?
We only gave about 20 pounds of meat, so that explains how small she was.
I hate to tell you this, buddy, but I've done it too. Not on purpose, but I've made a mistake when they're running through the woods.
But yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it is really good, ain't it? Them little ones are good eating, buddy. Sometimes if I get a bonus tag, I don't try to shoot a first year, but I try to shoot a little smaller one. And I try to use my other tag for a real big one. So I can mix the two meats together because they're always I love that. I love that young deer meat, man. Them steaks are phenomenal. Always tell you there's lots of room around them. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we leave that picture. I'm glad you told that. I will tell you though, I thought that deer was huge. And we're going right to your rabbit, your very first rabbit. I was with for this. Tell this one.
So yeah, Ben was with. It was my second or third rabbit hunt ever, and I was with my pap and his beagle, Sissy, which is amazing of a beagle. I love her. And I was with my pap and Ben's friend. He brings dogs, and we had a great time. And they're running up this hollow, and Ben was like, "Get ready, get ready!" And one shot when it was running and rolled it right over, and of course the camera died, so it ain't camera, but it's all about making memories, not about it's about having fun and making memories.
Tell me that wasn't a bummer. I was like, I got it on camera. I got it on camera. And then I was like, oh, man, it died. You remember?
Yeah.
Oh, I was so bummed. I never noticed the percentage was low. I could have changed the chip out when the dogs were still running it up top. But that was a good shot. You made a good shot on that. I remember because I said, get up in this hilltop. It's going to come right back.
Mm-hmm.
And it came back through that thick stuff. And I said, there he is. Get ready. Get ready. And he was running, man. He made a great shot on that. I remember that one. I was glad I got to experience that. Matter of fact, I think I sent your dad a message right away.
Yeah, I think you did.
Ben needs to ask Easter Bunny for new batteries. Buddy, I bought 6 new batteries. GoPros only last 32 minutes. That's what I get out of a GoPro. My $500 GoPro. 32 minutes of battery. In
Yeah.
the cold, it's like 26. It's bad. Then let's go from your rabbit. Let's stay on rabbits. So I've had the experience to rabbit hunt with you. And like I said, you and I end up, all the adults are at the bottom and you and I are laughing, walking across the top. That seems to happen a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get some awesome shooting and sometimes, we're having fun. It don't matter. So at least I didn't lose the camera again. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, brother.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember when you lost the camera.
Yeah, remember we found it stuck to a tree. We shot rabbits that day. So let's talk about that day. Sissy and the other 3 beagles were running the hill. Scout, Lucy, and Molly. And we had what? 14, 15 rabbits out that day?
Yeah. And
if you remember that day, I shot that double, and I had to track that one rabbit like 80 yards in the snow. You remember that? Even though I hit it, we found blood. And then I kicked the rabbit out by you, and I was yelling, Bronson, Bronson. I think you and your dad shot at that one, right?
Yeah.
Then, man, we had rabbits all over that day. They were all over the place.
4.
I think that was just the one hillside. The other hillside, when we started, we had a bunch out too. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Man, that's right. I forgot about that, Bronson. We really had a good day that day. I think that week before that, your pap and them shot 10 rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that the week before they each limited out? I think it was 12. They each limited out.
And this year we got 80 rabbits.
The whole second season, was that the final number, 80 rabbits. Dude, that's a good season. I love those types of seasons. I love the rabbit hunt. Let me ask you this before we move on to your next pictures. I have to know, what's your favorite thing to hunt?
Probably. Oh, this is hard.
It's a hard question, ain't it? It's hard for me. You're right, Matt. That was the first day Scout went hunting with us.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Probably. I love hunting deer, but rabbits is probably right there too. Probably rabbits.
It's pretty close, hey? I know it's hard to pick one.
I love listening to the dogs, watching. It's just weird how the dogs can smell that scent and just pick up on it and take it.
And
Sometimes,
they run. They run, don't they? Don't they go for, man, some of them, they go for miles.
yeah.
Hey, your dad's right. I forgot about that. It was the first time we took Scout with. That was the first time we trial run him to see if we were going to keep him.
Yeah.
He did really good that day. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. That was a good memory I forgot. So, pictures. Let's go back to pictures, just because I love your pictures. And we'll ask you more questions. So, I already know it's a squirrel, even though it looks like a ran over muskrat. Was this your first squirrel?
I think so.
Now, tell me what happened to this squirrel, because it looks like the coyotes got it, like your deer.
So, it was up in a tree, and I was sitting with my pap, and we had his 22. And I look up in a tree, and it's straight up. And I'm like, Pap, there's a squirrel. So he gives me his gun. I lay back, and I shoot. And I hit it. And then, you know how sometimes they get stuck on the limb? And my pap was like, oh no. And then it gave a little flinch, and then it fell down. And all you could see was the guts just falling.
So you literally blew the guts right out of it? Oh, I shouldn't laugh at that, but that poor squirrel, if you look at that picture, it looks like that poor squirrel got attacked by tree coyotes or something. I mean, it's terrible.
Describes it.
That's hilarious. We've all had them moments. How about that rabbit I shot at like 10 yards with the 12 gauge?
Yeah.
We blew that right in half. That was terrible. You remember I picked it up almost
Put that
in two pieces?
in your pocket.
Yeah, I was trying to wrap leaves around it to keep my vest from getting bloody. So sorry, I'm still laughing at that squirrel. Look, I'm telling you, it looks like you shot it with a 30-06. So we go through here. Tell us about this buck.
All right, so that's my pap in the background, and actually, we were hunting with his buddies, and this was the 2021. And we were doing a drive. We always do these drives, and real big drives. And my pap's always like, when we do those drives, he's like, you're going to do the first shot, and then I'm going to back you up, because I don't like tracking. And he don't like tracking. So he's always like, I want that deer down right where it took its last step. So he fired a shot, I fired a shot, and then he fired a shot. And when I shot, it fell over. And then he shot it and then finished it off.
Now, how many points is that? I can see points. I see at least 4.
Yeah, 4.
Did you turn around and look in the wall behind you and count them? Is that what you just did? I thought that's what you were doing. I can see the horns in the background. Oh, that's great. I thought that's what you just did. That's awesome.
I have my thumb covering up a horn, so
that's 4-pointer, and that's your last year's buck. Shot with the rifle out of a deer drive. Running. Standing still. Now I'm going to ask the question since you're the sharpshooter here. How far?
This one wasn't far. Only like 15 yards.
Holy moly, really? Okay, well I can't call you sharpshooter for that one, but I can tell you ate it. It's still a good shot. Man, you could have killed that one with a bow.
Yeah.
Phew, 15 yards with a rifle. That's cool. That's a cool shot. That's what It's one I'd like to use the slug guns for. Now here's my story. There's a story I've been waiting all night for. I've heard this story, even though I didn't want to hear it till tonight. But rabbit hunting, we tell stories, and I've heard it. I love this story. You were so proud of it, so happy. There's so much to the story. Let's go into this year's buck. First, let's tell everybody how many points this got.
8.
8 points. So it's your biggest buck yet, right? It's a really nice buck. It looks like it had a huge body. Now, tell us, who were you hunting with?
Hunting with my dad and my stepmom and me.
Okay. Now, did you just drive?
Nope.
I didn't think so. By the way, I remember the story. Go on, tell your story.
First day of rifle, my stepmom was in her favorite tree stand, and my dad was over across the road, and I had my pap with me, and I was on the outside towards the field because we always have deer in there, and when you can either take the rifle or the bow for either shooting a doe or a buck. I took the bow, and actually there was a buck that there was about 40 yards with my dad, and I was getting so excited, and then it was too far, and then it walked away, and I'm like, man, I stuck to this tree stand the whole season, archery and rifle.
Now,
And
for this buck, or
no,
just because you've seen buck?
just because I've seen deer there.
Okay.
This deer has a very sad and funny story about it. This deer had 8 shots shot at it. It got shot by 4 different people. I was the only one to connect with 2 shots. My dad missed it. My 2 other people missed it. And then it started out, this person shot 2 shots at it. And then it ran past this other person, and he couldn't get a shot at it. And I was lucky enough that it ran up towards me, and I heard something come plowing out of the bush behind me. And I turned my head real slow, and I get my gun, and I make the deer noise. But, when it's rifle and they're getting shot at, they're not going to stop. So I put the gun up,
All
shoot
right,
it.
hold on. I'm going to interfere. I need to hear it. Let him hear the deer noise.
Meh.
Yeah, that's it. I love that noise. I know exactly what noise you're talking about. Go ahead, buddy.
And I fired my first shot, and the front left deer leg went like this. It just went flying backwards. So I knew I hit it. And then I reloaded, shot it again, and it turned and was just about ready to go in the bush. And I gut shotted it. And then my dad saw it go down through the bush, but he lost it, so he wasn't able to see it. Well, then he gets me tracking it, and I haven't found blood. Or actually, I found a piece of meat, and when you find meat, it's not very good. And that's the only thing we found for maybe 20 yards. Then we get down in the bush, and I found these little red berries, and I'm like, Dad, here's blood. Well, I pick them up, and it's not blood. So we keep looking. I'm getting sad, and I'm getting upset. And then I keep going down in the woods, and now here's blood. Here's a big patch of blood, and lots of blood here and everywhere. Well, 20 yards into the bush, I walk behind this bush, and all of a sudden the deer pops up and takes off. Well, my dad books it up the road, get out in the open to where the deer's going to run out, and fires 2 shots at it. Runs into posted, into a little square bush, runs out. The first person that shot at it again, shot 2 shots at it, and then it went into more posted ground and went about 20 yards in there and died. But we had to wait for the person that owned the land to let us go in there, and I'd say we were waiting about 2 hours till we were able to get to this person and go into their land, and I was getting so upset, and I'm like, Dad, where is he? When's he coming? And all this. And then we finally go up to the field, and we look out, and he was already looking for the deer without even telling us. And then we get into the bush, we walk out, we talk to him, and then he's like, okay, well, let's walk in with you. I'll walk in with you. And my dad was carrying his gun, and this guy and me were walking, and we find blood, and I look up, and I saw something white, but I didn't say anything. And I look back down, and I fall in the blood, and I look up, and the guy in front of me said, there it is. And I knew I saw something, but I didn't think it was that. And then I look up, and there it was.
And you see 8 points laying there, right?
Well, I actually didn't know how big it was until I went up and looked at it. And I was like, Dad, I told you it was big.
So the cool part of being a youth hunter is you can, longest 3.5 hour wait of my life. Yeah, I bet, man. I bet you it was the longest 3.5 hour wait of his life, too. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine what your wait time was, and I'll bet you were all worked up and all. But you get to this deer. Now, you know it wasn't, you shot a spike buck, you shot a doe, you shot a 4-point, and you know that this is bigger than all those.
Yeah, when I saw it coming running by, I'm like, holy cow, that's a big deer.
So when you found that deer laying and you realize how big the deer is, and like it's no small one. I mean, if Chris can zoom in there, it's no small deer. What was your reaction? What was your initial like wow to that? What?
I looked back at my dad and I just gave him a smile, and we started laughing, and we went up to look at it, and I just looked at him, and I was just amazed that I was able to get it.
So not only did you have to wait 3.5 hours for somebody to come, and you could get your deer off posted, you got to thank Jesus that the guy left you get it.
Yeah.
Because he could have said no. And the PA game laws are so weird that he could have got away with not letting you get it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank God for that, right? But then that deer went through how many rounds of shots?
8 shots were shot at the deer.
And only 2 came from a 14-year-old boy. And that deer was running, correct? The whole. Now, I'm going to ask, because I've asked everyone so far, how far was this deer?
50 on the first shot and about 100 on the second shot. And
so that deer was booking. If that deer made it 50 yards between the bolt, that deer was booking.
And my dad was sitting across the road, and he heard me fire 1 shot, and he's like, oh boy, here we go. And then he heard me shoot again, and he saw the buck go in, but he didn't want to shoot at it because he didn't know if there was another deer or what I was just shooting at. So he let it go, and yeah, I was. And
I bet your dad was pretty excited too, huh?
Maybe 3 seconds to reload and shoot again.
It doesn't take long when you're in excitement unless your bullet jams, then it all goes bad. But when you're excited, it's a pretty quick or a pump, and you're moving. And so that deer was booking. Well, I'll tell you what, I am very happy for you to have all these moments. Now, I'm going to ask you a few questions. One is, youth hunting starts at an early age. Who got the bigger buck this year? You or, hold on, somebody asked a good question. There you go. And you know who that lady is.
My dad.
Your dad got the bigger buck? So is that one of your goals, to beat your dad out one year with? Did he freeze? Oh, there he is. Is that your goal? Beat your dad out and shoot a bigger buck one year?
Yeah.
I don't know if you seen what Barnes said there. He said it sounds like your pap's a good luck charm.
He is.
And your dad's giving you some stuff here, man. I don't know if you've seen that. You see your dad's giving you some stuff? Tell them. So you're going to have a contest, right?
Mhm.
So you can start hunting at an early age. Now, I know your family is absolutely loves to hunt. And I'm sure you started long before you were 12 because you're allowed to in PA on a youth mentor license. When did you start hunting?
2017.
Twin, how old were you?
9.
So you did hunt on a youth mentor program. And you killed your first deer in 2017, correct?
No, I think it was 2018, but I'm
Okay,
not.
2018. So regardless, you were 10 years old then, and you were still on a youth mentor program. So just so people see, a lot of people don't agree with the youth mentor program. This is a young boy who has accomplished the ultimate goal at age 10 because PA allows that. So I am all for the youth program. I just trying to stress to people about it. Now, Don Kissinger has another question for you. Wait do you hear this one?
I did.
I did. There it is, man. That was confidence. Matt, you're in trouble. That was confident there. Sorry, I love that. Don's got good questions. She's throwing game out now, Bronson. So, youth mentor 10. God, that's awesome. I mean, that's, my kids have. Did you go with your dad hunting prior to hunting at age 9? Did he let you walk in the woods with him and sit with him? Did he?
I think he let me. I don't think so.
No, it all started then around age 9.
He might have. I know I went with my pap when I was like 2. But my dad might have took me out. I can't remember.
So now when you're deer hunting, now you've slayed them. I'm going to call you the slayer. You've slayed them with the rifle. You've used the bow. Now, do you shoot a compound bow? I know. So I know you're shooting archery right now, right?
Mhm.
Now that is programmed through. Is that through your school?
Yeah.
I won't give your school's name on here because I'm not doing that at your age. But so you do shoot an archery program through the school, which that program is no sights, right? Now is that? Apologize. Is that a Matthews? Is that one of the Matthews Genesis setups they have set up?
It was like one that Chris showed on the one video.
Okay, so that's a Matthews Genesis. Yep, that's what I thought. That's what most of them school programs are using. So now that you're shooting that, do you have any interest in shooting a compound to kill a deer now? You use a crossbow. Is there any thought process there?
I told my dad I want to shoot a compound bow, and I actually, when I was over at my friend's house, he's actually right now. I tried to pull back his bow, but he had it higher, so it was harder for me to pull back. But I told my dad that I want to shoot a compound bow, and I'm hoping that I'm able to get there someday.
So my Haley has a compound here, just a little bit out there to help you and your dad or whoever in the family is thinking about getting you a compound. We actually have what they call a diamondback. So the diamondback compound bow is made that you can shoot it now and the rest of your life. It actually goes from like a 25-pound draw weight to a 70-pound draw weight. And the increments it moves in is like half inch. So the bow continues to grow. So my Haley got that for Christmas a few years ago, and you'll never have to buy another bow.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're not expensive. They're really not. The good shooting bows. Her problem is she struggles to shoot that 40. I think legal PA. Me and Barnes were just talking about it. I think legal PA shoot is 40 or 45 pounds. So as long as you can pull back that 40, 45 pound, you can do it. Now, you see Dave's comment on here? Let me pull that back up. Let's take him crow hunting, him and Nick, the future of BSO. I like that a lot. So, what if we stop out one day? I'm sure I can talk to your pap. And we try to call some crows in and take you on a crow hunting adventure. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that would be amazing. I would
We'll
love
get your dad to go too. What do you think? You got to dress full camo, dude. It's crazy. Them birds can see you from a, I mean,
I saw the video you put out, and you guys are fully dressed. It's like
yeah, I got some more videos coming. We got a bunch more videos coming, so it'd be pretty cool if we can get you in a video with us. We'll shoot a video of you crow hunting. I think that'll be pretty cool. Barnes and I go all the time. We just took a guy, my buddy Brian went twice with us, and he's hooked now. This guy just went and bought a new shotgun, and it's a lot of fun. Just like the Predator. You know, you went Predator hunting with us, and they had the Predator calls, just like that. Except for, of course, it's daytime, and you put decoys out like turkey decoys, but a lot more. It's a lot of fun. I like Dave's thought process of you and Nick, my boy, being the future of big, sexy outdoors. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Absolutely. So, Chris, no crow pot pie, only rabbit. Come on, Don. They say the breast is good. I put them out for coyote bait, but they say it's good. Chris, pop on here. I know you're on here. So, Chris, I'm sorry. I know Bronson a little bit, and I know we're running close to our show end time, and poor Bronson has to go to bed. I told him I wouldn't keep him on past 10 o'clock, so we're getting close. Before we end this, Chris, you not knowing Bronson and hearing some of his story and seeing some of his pictures and what he does, what questions do you have for Bronson?
Honestly, my main things were, of course, what was the big draw to get into it? Like, what brought you into hunting in the first place?
I think it was just in my family, and it got to me, and I was lucky enough to be able to get to it, and going out and seeing all the buck and deer that my family kills just got me into it, and I love it.
Now, of course, you like fishing, of course, from what I saw. What do you like to do? Other outdoor stuff? Camping?
Yeah, I like camping.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. Okay, before you go, I gotta ask: do you have anything big planned for him, like taking him on a hunting trip, like one of those, like the excursions?
So is this question for his dad? Quick,
for his dad, yeah. I was gonna ask him if his dad was taking him on one, but since his dad's got to bounce, I figured I'd ask him quick. I know it takes a bit to type. Because I know we want to get on one. We want to go to one of these kind of outdoor excursions. I was just wondering if he had plans for anything like that. Would you want to go on one?
Yeah, I think that would be fun. That pig hunt thing that Ben does, I really would like to do that.
I got to record that this Sunday. Yeah, I got to record that on this Sunday. So we'll have videos for that. Maybe we'll try to do something live too. What do you think?
Yeah.
We'll see what kind of service we get on the island. Let's see. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much what I had. You covered everything else. That's your job, though. That's your job. Did I lose? Ben muted himself again. Jeez, Ben, I tell you, you make me
I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you two off. I did mute. I never came back. I apologize.
I saw your lips moving.
No, I didn't realize it till I seen your face. I knew right then I was guilty. So,
yeah,
there you go, Matt. That's what we were asking. So we cut out. Screen went blank for a second. I don't know what happened, but
thank you.
Would love, look at that. Love taking for elk someday. I'd love Matt. If you go for elk, I'd like to go for elk someday. You can take me, Dad.
I was gonna say you can adopt me if you're going.
Yeah.
When Ben goes silent, we're supposed to get 6 inches.
But Bronson, I promise you 10 o'clock, buddy. I told your parents we are at 56 minutes, which means we have 2 minutes probably to spare by the time we hang up and done here. So, Bronson, you have anything you want to say to any of the young viewers out there or any of the old viewers about being a youth hunter?
For youth, just try and get into it, and you'll never regret going hunting. And if you love being outdoors and seeing animals, I think hunting's for you.
I think that's some good words of wisdom. And Bronson, I super appreciate you getting on here, buddy. And I always have a great time with you here hunting. I told your dad just on Facebook how you're such a respectful young man and you're a pleasure to be around. So I love that you watched Big Sexy Outdoors. I love that you wanted to take part in the show and tell your stories. And I super appreciate you being here. And I'm going to keep my promise to your parents. And I'm actually going to, Chris is sending me messages. It's probably something funny, so I can't cut you yet. Okay. So I just making sure. Chris always sends me goofy stuff before we went. I will make sure if it was funny, we shared it. But I just love that you want to be part of this. I know, like now, you bought yourself a little GoPro. I was hoping you get it set up, and you're working on getting your head straps and your stuff for it. And man, I love that stuff. And maybe we can work something out. I'll come film a hunt for you one time for you and your dad or something. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had just much fun doing that as hunting. I'm pretty easy to get along with. And as you know, buddy, I'm gonna have to let you go because I gotta keep my end of the bargain. We're at a minute.
All right, thank you.
All right.
For having me.
So God bless everyone. Thank you for watching. I super hope you appreciate Bronson. He is a good dude, man. I look forward to spending more time with him in the woods. Have a great night, guys.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, buddy.